Everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching Hawkeye episode 3, and this episode is basically just one giant action sequence that takes up about 90% of this episode, and so while there's not a whole lot of, well, there is some plot development, a lot of it is just honestly pretty great action, and I think that's also due to this being a much more grounded TV show. So, you know, when we have things like, Falcon and Winter Soldier, they have to deal with a lot of like trying to integrate the flying into that show, and so those action sequences, while some of them were good, a lot of them were like, I don't know, they definitely felt like they might have had a bit of a TV budget, but this episode, honestly, just the action all around was pretty amazing. And I think that it just really helps that, like, showing people shoot arrows and jump and spin and flip and all this stuff, like, that doesn't cost nearly as much money, and so they're able to do so much more. And man, the Tracksuit Mafia, like, I already loved these guys, but they had this whole sequence with one of them bought his girlfriend Imagine Dragon tickets, and Kate just tried to, like, they're still hostages, but Kate's just like, oh, well, just tell her how you feel and know her apology. I don't know, it was pretty great. The comedy, I think, is pretty solid with this Tracksuit Mafia. I know some people may be like, oh, they're not a real threat, the tension isn't real because they're kind of a joke, but honestly, the joke works, and that's my thing, is that, like, I know I get the feeling when people are like, oh, there's not real stakes here because they're treating it like a joke, and Marvel often does that, but my thing is that if the joke works, then that's fine, and I think more often than not the joke does work in these Marvel shows and movies. So yeah, it was just generally great. I just want to spend a whole bunch of time with these goons who are just ridiculous. We do get quite a bit of, like, the origin story of Echo, which she's not called that. I forget what her actual name is, but she's Echo. That's like her hero or villain name. I don't know. I guess she's supposed to become a hero, but right now she's essentially she's leading the Tracksuit Mafia, but they do confirm she is under someone else. And in this flashback sequence where they talk, they show her dad, and they show her in school, and they show her, very similar in origin to Kate, actually, just like she was trained from a child to, go to these kung fu classes, go do this, go do that, and, just become this athlete growing up. And that's why she's so capable. So there's a lot of similarities there. But we do see this small sequence where her dad's like, your uncle's gonna pick you up, and then we see this guy walk into frame, and we don't see his face, but we see him, like, give, like, a little chuckle, and it's so obvious. Spoiler alert, it's Kingpin. It's the Kingpin. He is absolutely in the show. That's been a rumor that's been floating around for a while, that, like, oh, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin from the Netflix show is gonna come back. I think that's more clear than ever now. Like, I don't think there's really any denying that that's happening. There were rumors that he's gonna look a little different, that they might put, like, a fat suit on him, or CG him to be, a little larger like he is in the comics, which I'm not so sure how I feel about that. That kind of seems, I don't know. I'll have to see how it looks. It seems like a little bit of a strange choice, but I'll have to see how it looks. But in any case, the fact that we are definitely going to get the Kingpin, and based on, like, there's a lot of, like, criminal hierarchy structure stuff going on with, like, Kate's mom, and then her fiance, Kate's mom's fiance, what's his name? What is his name? Jonathan? Jason? It's something like that. I don't know. Anyways, Jack. His name is Jack. Yeah. There's a lot of, like, criminal hierarchy going on, a lot of, like, kind of Game of Thrones type stuff with, like, this family and that family, and wherever the Kingpin sits in that, I don't know if he's the Kingpin yet. Because it feels like he's in charge of, Echo and the Tracksuit Mafia, but it doesn't, based on the way they described him, because Hawkeye kind of like, oh yeah, there's this guy above them who you don't want to mess with. it doesn't sound like he's at the very, very top of all crime. And that's kind of the Kingpin's thing, is that he's supposed to be literally at the top, right? So I don't know. I don't know. Well, this might actually be somewhat of an origin story of his rise to power, you know? So that's kind of interesting on its own. But yeah, we just get a lot of stuff where, like, you know, his hearing aid breaks and he has a conversation with his son on the phone, and Kate has to like translate for him because he can't hear what his son is saying. So we just get like a lot of nice moments between them. We get a lot of trick arrows during the action sequence, and that kind of made me realize, really for the first time, I never even like really thought about it, but the trick arrows, like all this, you know, different things that, like, this one does acid, this one does putty, this one is, you know, so and so. I'm realizing, like, oh, we don't see too much of that in the movies. You know, we, like, you know, in the Avengers we saw like the little USB drive thing, and then in some of the other ones we saw like, oh, this one's kind of an electrical, like this one will shock you a little bit, but we don't see too much of the trick arrows. And so I was actually really happy to see like them really utilize that for the first time. Also he has a Pym particle one, which I guess he must have gotten from Ant-Man. I guess he gave him one, which is, it's pretty cool callback to, you know, when Ant-Man was on the actual arrow in Civil War. So that was pretty cool that he has a Pym particle. Very expensive arrow, I have to imagine that's like his most expensive, most hard to replace arrow, is the Pym particle one, because, you know, now, especially now that they know they can time travel with those, I don't know, it just feels, I mean, I suppose Hank Pym has been just, when he came back, he must have just started like mass producing Pym particles for his own stash, I guess, right? Like, because they only in Endgame they only had like 4 left or something. So yeah, anyways, they also go into a little bit of the costume, like Hawkeye, you know, they kind of make the joke about like, oh, you should have this comic accurate costume with the giant H and the, you know, the wings on the mask, you know, the giant, they go to the side thing, you know, and he kind of makes the joke about it. And you know, this has been done in comic book stuff for, you know, way since like the first X-Men movie. They've been making jokes about like, oh, I'm not gonna put on that silly comic book costume, you know. I think for Hawkeye it makes a lot more sense why he wouldn't, because yeah, he was, you know, for the majority of his career before the Avengers was even a thing, he was you know, he was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's, you know, he goes on covert operations. The idea that he would put on a purple costume with a, you know, literally a brand saying like, hey, look, it's me, like that doesn't really make any sense for a spy, you know. So at least this time when they're making fun of the costume, it does make more sense why you wouldn't do that. Plus, you know, he kind of says like, as you know, because he did the whole Ronin thing, you know, he's not anyone's hero, not anyone's inspiration, which of course he was Kate's inspiration, so you know, that's going to be a thing. And also they kind of very much reiterate that no one knows who Ronin was, no one knows that it was him, which that's absolutely going to be a big turning point in the show at some point. So it, you know, at one point, maybe 2 episodes, 3 episodes from now, that's gonna be a thing that drops, and the bad guys and Kate will probably all find out, and it's gonna be this big shocking thing where it's like, yeah, he was Ronin, he killed a whole lot of people, and obviously, I don't know what happens if that gets out though, you know what I mean? Like, I guess that's my thing, is that he was a vigilante who killed people, but when he was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I don't know if S.H.I.E.L.D. is technically a thing that exists anymore, he had to have killed a whole lot of people while he was working for the government too, right? I don't know. It's like this really weird gray area, because when they're Avengers, in the Avengers, there's been a couple of bad guys who've died. Like the villains that they fight, there's been a few of them that die, right? Especially in Endgame, I mean, Thanos dies, right? So like, I guess my thing is like, where is the line at? Where's the line between you're allowed to be a vigilante, or no, it's because you're an Avenger, you're not vigilante, but it's like, are you? I don't know. It's it's such a gray area as to like, would he get in trouble for being Ronin, for killing all those criminals? But then also it's like, but then what's the difference between him doing that and him being an Avenger, where some of them still die? You know, you can't tell me like Iron Man blasting all those people, you know, like several people have been killed by the Avengers, right? So I don't know, that's an interesting thing. I don't know if they'll really go into that, but it is like, yeah, he's killed plenty of people even before Ronin. He's, you know, he shoots arrows at people, like that was his thing. He was a spy for a government agency who went on all kinds of covert operations. I don't know, I guess that's my only thing, is that like, it seems bad that he's Ronin and they make it out to be like this really horrible thing. It's like, oh my god. But also, was that anything new for him? Really? I mean, I guess he used a sword. It was more violent, you know, he's doing it out of like anger, I guess. But I don't know, it seems like a weird situation that I don't know if that was, I don't know. Is it okay for the Avengers to kill people? Does the government just say like, yeah, okay, that happened? Or is there consequences to this? I don't know. Kind of interesting. I mean, the Sokovia Accords don't seem to be a thing anymore, right? I mean, no one's knocking on his door saying like, hey, stop that, you know? So I don't know, who knows. But yeah, just overall really great. I'm still really enjoying this show. I think every episode has honestly been better than the last episode. And yeah, just the action's great, the comedy, it all really works. I have heard that like, oh, this is like the lowest watched show of whatever of all the Marvel shows or something. Look, here's my thing. Well, first of all, those statistics are being taken from specifically this one service of smart TVs or something like that, where they can track how many, you know, who watches what. So that's only like the one source of those numbers are coming from. The other thing is that this all came out right before Thanksgiving, like I think the day before Thanksgiving. People are busy visiting family and cooking food and then going shopping for Black Friday. So if you say that like, oh well, they didn't sit and watch, you know, an hour and a half or whatever of the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye, it's like, yeah, of course they didn't. People are busy at Thanksgiving. People are busy doing things. They're on planes, they're cooking, they're eating, they're talking with family, they're shopping. Yeah, so if they don't watch the Hawkeye show that weekend, that makes total sense. So I know a lot of people out there trying to like, oh, this means that it's too woke and it's going broke. There is some stupid shit like that. Which, by the way, again, yeah, I saw that video on Twitter like everyone else did. Kind of those stupid geeks and gamers people or whatever. Like, oh my god, Kate Bishop is good at things. How dare they? It's like, yeah, a person, and that's my thing is, and this is what I really hate. The big complaints, you know, back with Star Wars was like, oh well, there wasn't any training, why is she so good at things? Well, okay, fine. Here in Kate Bishop, they very much over and over again talk about how much she trained, how much she practiced, how much, you know, how many years and years of classes and all this other stuff and contests and trophies. They show her going from like 5th place to 3rd place to 1st place. They show all her trophies. So it's like, okay, they very much, not even just in that opening credits thing, but in the show they talk about it. They have several conversations about it in those first 2 episodes about how much she had to train to get where she's at. But that's still not good enough. So gee, I wonder what the real issue is. I wonder why they're so upset. Anyways, and you know, of course they introduce Echo and they do her whole background, which is very similar to Kate's. So you know that those same stupid people are gonna make the same stupid video about like, oh, they introduced a girl who's good at things, even though, like, what, they showed her training, they showed her doing the thing that you complain so much that Rey didn't do this thing. So here they are showing the thing that you wanted them to show. But of course it's not good enough because that's not really what they're complaining about. We know that. Anyways, alright, rant over for that. But yeah, Hawkeye episode 3, really fun. The comedy works really well, and it's, I think it's just because Jeremy Renner, he's just got that face to play the straight man in the comedy duo. It works really well, I think. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I'm enjoying this show a lot. And I think it's also because it's so grounded, and it's not like this cosmic, consequences, or this world ending consequences, and I feel like that's kind of a refreshing take, because we just got through Eternals, and then we just got through Loki, and we just, it feels like the last several MCU things were all like these really crazy important. It's either about the timelines, or the multiverse, or the giant cosmic giant is gonna hatch out of the planet of the Earth and destroy everything, so it's just refreshing to be like, here's just a guy trying to stop these gang members, that's it, that's the show. And hey, maybe some people would be like, well, the stakes aren't high enough. I'm like, you know what, the stakes are consistently high. Like, look, the next Marvel thing coming out after this, it's about Spider-Man and the multiverse shattering again, so it's like, it's okay to have like one show where it's just a guy trying to stop some gang members, like, just doing the normal let's go stop some crime superhero thing. Because so often, lately in the MCU, it's like the world is ending, or the multiverse is ending, or the timelines are broken, or something, like What If and Loki and WandaVision, even Falcon and Winter Soldier had like, oh man, this virus, this super soldier serum, and so it's like, it's just a guy trying to stop some crime. So I don't know, for me it feels refreshing. It does definitely feel like the Marvel Netflix shows, where it's like, it's really grounded, we're street level, we're doing our thing, and it works. And that's my thing. It's like, honestly, I would watch like they could do a season 2 of Hawkeye. I would watch it, So I don't know. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with the way it's all going. So yeah, let me know. Oh, one more thing before I get out of here. There was this small. Obviously, this was a huge coincidence. But when Echo is talking with her dad, he brings up how like, oh, she's like, do dragons exist? And he's like, oh, well, they live in a different world, and then they have to come into this world and they get stronger, kind of. He's trying to make this metaphor of how, she's deaf, she's gonna have to live in this one world, but she has to live in this other world where everyone around her can hear, and they have their own language, obviously, because they can hear each other. So she's gonna have to adapt and become stronger. She's like the dragon, right? But it's funny that he said it that way, because if you watch Shang-Chi, that's literally true. It's not just a figurative statement. That's a literal truth. There is a dragon in a different dimension you have to go through, and it's I don't know. It's just funny that, like, did they do that on purpose or was that just, I don't know if that was supposed to be like kind of a Easter egg joke. It was like, oh no, he's literally right. He doesn't know it, but that's actually real, for real. So I don't know. I thought that was fun. Anyway, so let me know what you think about Hawkeye so far. Hawkeye episode 3. The comedy's working. Are you excited for the Kingpin? And let's go laugh at. They're gonna make those people are gonna make another video about Echo, because she's a girl who can do things, even though she trained, which is what they were complaining about. But they're gonna make those videos. They're probably filming those videos right now as I'm talking. Oh, they made Echo, she's a girl and she can do things. Oh my god, get woke, go broke. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.